Hey everybody, welcome back. I've been meaning to do a follow-up video on the DIY saltwater chlorinator for some time, but just never got around to doing it. So I see there's someone's been asking some questions, so I thought I'd get motivated and work out one more video. Just want to talk about the chlorinator itself. I think it's the RP10. That has been running perfectly. I've got no complaints about that at all. There's no signs of corrosion on either plates. I must have had it for 6 or 9 months now running. The housing's really solid, the O-ring's all fine. So in terms of quality, that actual chlorinator unit is really good, and I would really recommend it. What I do want to talk about today was access to my spa and where the chlorinator sits, and a few things around that. And I've changed the electrical wiring as well. So access to my spa and where the chlorinator lives is a little bit tricky. I've got to take off a side panel. Not only that, there's about 2 or 3 poles holding up our deck, which are really annoying. They're right in the middle of the way. So definitely a downside of this setup versus the saltwater scepter, which I was using before, and the original hot spring chlorinator, is that they are super easy to clean. They're just in the spa filter housing, and you just take off the spa pool cover, and it's really easy to do. So because it was a little bit difficult and a bit of a hassle to clean the scale off the chlorinator, or I think it's a calcium buildup, I think technically. I did know that the anode was self-cleaning, so I didn't really know much about it, but my understanding is that you just basically reverse the polarity of I think it's 5 volts DC, and the calcium will basically fall off the plates. So what I did, I just manually reversed the polarity for a couple of hours one day, and sure enough, the calcium did fall off the plates. So about 6 months ago, actually, I went out and bought what's called a double pole, double throw relay. Now, I've done relays on a number of projects. I understand the basic function of relays. I think the first time I ever used a relay was in a mate's car when I was about 18 years old, and he wanted to put a massive big set of air horns, and so obviously it uses a large amount of current, and so that was one of the reasons I learned how to use a relay. Now, I'd never used a double pole, double throw relay before, but I watched some YouTube videos, and it seemed pretty simple. So I purchased one of those. Now, the one I got, potentially there was probably better ones or different ones you could have bought. Because what I ended up doing is we've got a 5 volt power supply to run the anode, which is in the original video, but the relay actually needed a 12 volt power supply to switch the contacts. So I actually had to add another 12 volt power supply to the electrical setup. So I bought another Meanwell DIN rail power supply and put that in there. Now, there may have been a 240 volt double pole, double through relay. I just don't know, and that would have saved one extra power supply. But I suppose I did like doing it that way because it's all DC, it's all low voltage. Given it's a spa, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit paranoid, but so that's the sort of path I went down. The other thing that did happen as well, and I'll show some pictures of that a little bit later, the other thing that did happen as well is the Broadlink smart switch, which I'd had, I think, for over more than a year. It actually ended up breaking and stopped working. So there's a brand of, I suppose, home automation products. I think it's out of Europe, called Shelly. And I bought 2 of the Shelly Plus Ones, is what they're called, and I'll put a picture up of those on screen. Now, the good thing about those, for New Zealand at least, is they're actually certified electrically here to be used, so they meet all the standards. The app as well is a Shelly app, and it's pretty good. It's really good. It's solid, and it's my understanding as well is that Shelly actually works with most professional home automation systems or any of the DIY home automation systems. So I'm just using the Shelly Cloud app to do the the timing, but it does work with a lot of other systems. I think it's quite open the way you can talk to it. So I ended up just last week. Sorry, I just had to have a slight cough. Last week I did end up rewiring this electrical setup. I basically got it all set up on my workbench and just got my head around the double pole, double throw relay, and then wired the thing up. The Shelly plus 1Ms aren't DIN rail mountable, so one of the guys from my work, Mark, thanks Mark, he printed me two basically housings for them. They're already on line. He didn't have to design them. Someone else had already done them, so I can put a link to that below as well. The other thing I did in the electrical as well, I just wanted to make the AC distribution a bit tidier and cleaner. So I put in a couple of little AC distribution DIN rail things in there. You'll see them on the right hand side. So the electricity comes into the breaker, comes out of the circuit breaker. And there's two just little distribution blocks there, one for neutral and one for phase, because there was a few things that needed power. Obviously the two power supplies need power, the meanwhile the 5-volt one and the 12-volt one for the relay. The two Shelly devices need 240 volt power as well, though I believe they can be powered off DC as well. So I ended up doing that. The wiring look like a little bit of a mess, but it's actually not that bad, to be honest. So yeah, it's been in and running now for a week. I did have some emails with the manufacturer on how long to run the reverse polarity for, and I think they said 1 to 3 hours once every week. So at the moment, it's been running for about a week. I'm trialing. Well, it's actually been running for 2 weeks. I've just got it for reverse polarity on a Thursday, I think, for 2 hours, and reverse polarity on a Monday for 2 hours. My spa's 2,000 litres. I've just been running the anode for 1 hour every day at 10 a.m. and on obviously Thursday and Monday, which I've just done, I run it for 2 hours reverse polarity. So in the two Shelly devices, one of the Shelly devices just turns the current on and off to the 5 volts going through to the anode, and the other Shelly device triggers the relay and the double pole double throw, and that changes the polarity. So what I do on a Thursday and the Monday, I trigger the relay just before 10 a.m. So I trigger the reverse polarity first, and then allow the current to go through to the anode. So yeah, and remounted it all up. I was just doing a bit more reading as well. I do believe maybe once a month or once every 2 months, you are still going to potentially have to soak the cell to get off any remaining buildup of calcium. You do, obviously the calcium does flake off as well, I find. Some of it sits in the anode housing, just sits there as almost like a layer of sand at the bottom. Some of it flows through to the spar pool itself. And I've just been trying to think about some way of maybe putting in some sort of sediment trap or something to grab those particles of calcium so they don't end up in the spar, sitting, like resting on where you sit and stuff like that. Just like when people get in with dirty feet and with sand on them, you get sand in your spar. I have got a little spar pool vacuum thing, little battery thing that you can suck it up. So I've just been thinking about that, about where I could do it. At the moment, I'm obviously on the hot water line, which just discharges straight into the spar. I was just trying to figure out some way of maybe changing that to maybe, I don't know, go through the filter in the spar pool or something. I don't know. Need to figure out that one a bit more. That's how the hot spring unit works, and that's how the saltwater scepter works because it goes into your filter housing. Mind you, it's on the inside of the filter, so any of that stuff would still flow through. So don't worry about that. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so I've been thinking about that. But apart from that, obviously it's 2 weeks in with the self cleaning. I'm pretty hopeful, and yeah, I think that's enough for video today. I'll put some links in the description below, and any questions, hit me up. All right, see you later.